Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Oregon Zoo Live. We are in our Red Panda exhibit at the Oregon Zoo. My name is Nicole, and I am a keeper that worked with the Red Panda. So we're going to be spending the next few minutes talking about Red Panda. And you guys will have an opportunity to ask me any questions you might have about Red Panda. Moshu, this is Moshu. We're going to be pretty much focusing on him this morning. Or if you have questions about what it's like to be a zookeeper at the Oregon Zoo, I'd be happy to answer those questions too. But first, let's start off and introduce Moshu. Moshu is our nearly 9-year-old Red Panda, and he's been with us not actually much more than about 6 months, if that. He came to us from the Nashville Zoo, where he was living for a while. He was actually born in Fargo at another zoo, and so this is his third zoo, and he is actually adapting very well here at the Oregon Zoo, along with his exhibit mate May May. Like I said, Moshu is almost 9 years old, and as you can see, he has a beautiful coat on him. He's kind of reddish color on top and black on the bottom. And actually, these guys live in high elevation forests. This particular species is in the Himalayan area. And the lichen and the moss that grow on the trees there are actually this reddish color, so they have actually really great camouflage.
Michael, let's take a look at, we have another friend over here. Amy, can you tell us who this is?
This is May May. This is our female Red Panda, and she lives with Moshu here at the zoo.
Can you tell us a little bit about where May May came from?
May May came from Nashville as well, and actually before these two came here, they both lived together at the Nashville Zoo.
Okay, let's go see Moshu again. So Sylvia's asking, what is Moshu's favorite thing to eat?
Oh, that's a great question, Sylvia. So this is great because I have a picture. Here's a video or a picture of what they get here at the zoo. This is a biscuit, and you can see it's not his favorite, right? They do eat it, and we give them a bowl of it every day, and they kind of just free feed off of that. But I would say Moshu's favorite is apple pieces. He loves apple. And then there's another type of biscuit that's like a browser biscuit, and he really likes those too. They're the little red ones that he's eating. And I think he likes those because they have a little bit higher sugar content in them. So we limit those in his diet and use them to train and for enrichment. But as you can see, if I offer him this, a piece of apple, and a piece of biscuit, which one is he going to take? He's going to take the apple.
So what's his favorite thing to eat? We got a question.
Yeah, so I'd say apple. These guys obviously eat a lot of bamboo too. They eat between 3 and 8 pounds of bamboo leaves. So even though they eat mostly bamboo, I don't know that it's their favorite food item, but when we bring fresh bamboo stalks out here, browse, they get pretty excited and they'll start eating the leaves. They don't eat the stalk or the stem, and they really like the spring new growth on the bamboo. So that's a favorite too, but that's seasonal. So for year round though, I'd say probably apple. And May May likes grapes. That's her favorite.
So Mila is asking, are they related to a regular panda, a giant panda?
Oh, great question, Mila. So even though they have the word panda in them, these guys were actually discovered about 50 years before the great panda. And they are not really related. Any relation they have is so distant that for the most part, no, they're not related. But these guys were actually the first panda. They're also called red bear cat, lesser panda. They have panda-like qualities, but they also, if you look at them, they kind of look like a cat or a raccoon as well.
Andrew's asking, why do red pandas sleep so much?
That's a great question, Andrew. So these guys, like I mentioned earlier, survive on a very low calorie diet of leaves, bamboo leaves. So they don't have a lot of calories coming in. So they spend most of their time sleeping. And I'm sure for any of you guys that have visited the Oregon Zoo or maybe a red panda at another zoo, most likely, unless they were super young, they were probably sleeping. And they sleep basically in two ways. If it's real hot or warm out, like in the summer months, to cool off, they'll actually kind of span their bodies across a log and have their legs hanging down, and they're just trying to cool off. But this time of year, if you come to the zoo and you see them sleeping, which is most likely what they're going to be doing, they're curled up, and they actually use this really great long tail. See if I can have Moshu show you his tail, to curl around and keep them warm. So that tail does serve a purpose.
Olivia wants to know, are they soft? Is their fur soft?
They are soft. May's not a huge fan of being touched unless he's eating, so I'll show you that, but I don't know if you can get a close-up look. They have very thick, dense fur. It's kind of black. They have lots of fur on their feet because they'll walk on ice and snow. But yes, they're very, very soft.
So Penelope and quite a few other kids are asking, why are they red? Why do they have this reddish color?
So Penelope, the reason why these guys are red on top is for camouflage. Where they live in the temperate forests of the Himalayas, a lot of the moss and the lichen that grow high up in the trees where these guys like to hang out and they're most comfortable is this reddish color, so it offers them good camouflage.
Everson's asking, how do they keep themselves clean?
How do they keep themselves clean? So they clean a lot like a house cat. They'll lick their paws and kind of wipe their paws on their faces. They'll kind of sit back and groom themselves with their tongue. So if you've ever watched a house cat groom, they look very similar to that.
Bella's asking if in the wild, do they live alone or in groups?
So Bella, out in the wild, they're mostly solitary. You're not going to see them really coming together and hanging out together unless two different things are going on. A mom has some kits that she's caring for, and she'll even kind of run off and leave them for periods of time. Or if it's breeding season or mating season, which usually is January to March, you'll see males and females come together and breed. But other than that, they're going to be living solitary.
So Preston wants to know, what noise do they make? Do they make any sound?
I wish I could make their noise. They kind of do a little whistling noise. I've heard sometimes. I actually haven't heard it, but I've been told. But the sound that I've heard these guys make the most is it's described as a huff quack. So it's kind of like a whoa. And they kind of do that maybe if they get spooked or they're not happy about something. So we don't hear it a whole lot. But they'll do some squeaks and whistles as well.
Lily wants to know what predators they have in the wild.
So Lily, their main predator out in the wild is a leopard. Yeah, so when they have young with them, they'll move them around to different nests throughout the day to keep the nests very clean, and then a predator can't track them down, and she'll move the babies so that they stay safe. But also, these guys are dealing with poaching in some parts of the world. And so even though technically we're not predators, it is another cause of alarm for these guys. Is you can see why they might be poached. Their fur coat's really pretty.
So I missed the name, but we had a question about whether red pandas are endangered.
They are endangered, yes. Yes, they are. And they think there's probably less than 10,000 mature red panda left in the wild.
So what are some ways that people can help red pandas?
Oh, great question. How can you help red pandas? Well, first of all, I think learning about red pandas and where they come from and what's going on in their habitat is really important because we don't have them in North America, so it's hard for us to have direct impacts. But the Red Panda Network offers a really great website, and they talk a lot about how the biggest hurdles for these guys are deforestation. So you could become educated on how to buy sustainable wood, or how they're helping people in that part of the world become more sustainable. And then also fragmentation of their forests is a big problem. So as areas of the forest are cut down, these guys are becoming kind of siloed in different areas, so they can't interbreed as much. I think Moshu's done eating. But May right behind us is doing a cute little pose right now. We can walk over here while Amy's feeding May. So yeah, if you look online, there's some great resources on the World Wildlife Fund, the Red Panda Network, and you can learn about what you can do. A lot of, obviously you can make donations to the conservation efforts.
So Morgan wants to know, how big do red pandas get?
So females will be a little bit smaller than males. I just weighed these guys this morning, and they're pretty average size. Moshu might be a little heftier than normal, but they're about the size of a medium-sized to large-sized house cat. So they weigh between 10 and 20 pounds typically.
Kendall wants to know about the red panda's
Lifespan. So these guys live to be about 10 to 15 years old. I think the oldest one just passed away in North America, and he was 20, but that is a rarity that they would live that long.
Wyatt's asking how many babies a red panda has.
Typically just a couple, like 1 to 3 is pretty normal, and they're very, very small when they're born. And it's several weeks before their eyes open and they're able to move around.
What do you call a red panda baby?
Oh, I think it's a kit, but honestly, we don't breed here, so I haven't dealt with little red panda babies yet. And these guys, Moshu and May have had a couple of litters, but we're not breeding them right now. We're just holding them right now.
Caden's asking, how do red pandas climb so well?
Great question, Caden. So these guys actually have a couple different things that they're able to do. When they go straight down, when they climb down a tree, I don't know if I can get May to do this or not. Maybe not. Okay. They'll actually turn their back feet so that they can grasp the trees better. You can see they have claws, so they do use claws if they need them to dig in, but they have kind of an extension of their wrist bone, which is like a false thumb, and they're able to kind of grasp and as they walk, but their front legs are actually different length than their back legs. But in addition, they're really great climbers. They pretty much are arboreal animals. They like to hang out in trees up high, as you can see. And somebody had asked earlier about how they clean themselves. So Moshu's doing that right now. I don't know if Michael can get a good shot of that, but he's kind of curled up, sitting in a little ball, and he is just cleaning his stomach. Cool. But Moshu sometimes will brush him too with a brush, because sometimes he doesn't get his back very well.
So we'll take one last question. It's from Maddie. She wants to know, how much do they eat every day?
Oh, great question. So Maddie, right now, our red pandas, the two of earlier, and then on top of that, May gets a few grapes. Moshu gets about 20 grams of apple, and then they can eat as much bamboo as they want, but they need to eat several pounds of the leaves every day. All right, you guys, thank you so much for visiting our red panda habitat. I'm so glad you got to meet Moshu and May. They're a delight to see, and I hope you guys know now how to become red panda heroes. Check out some websites. Also, there are some activities posted that you can take part in if you like. Just follow the link, and then if you want to share all of those, you can share all of those online as well. Thank you so much for visiting, and have a great day. Okay.